Hey, listen, tonight it's certainly my honor to introduce this year's Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, a proud Gamecock, an accomplished advertising executive, and a community-minded entrepreneur, Barry Wilson. Barry grew up in Greenville, and I knew he was a smart guy right away because he decided not to go to that other school up in the upstate, but decided to come right here to University of South Carolina into the School of Journalism and Mass Communication, and he graduated in 1986. From the start, he was focused on one thing, and that was building a career in advertising, not just working in it, but owning it someday. And as you'll hear, he made that dream a reality. So, Barry, did you know you wanted to do advertising from, when did you figure that out?
Well, it was after high school.
Okay, but after high school, okay, well, yeah, that's great. You know, some of us have multiple majors before we figure out what we want to do. So that's great. As a student, Barry was focused, he was driven. He served as president of the Ad Club at the University of South Carolina. He was the account executive on the 1986 National Student Advertising Competition. He earned the Outstanding Advertising Senior of the Year Award. Talk about driven and focused, he certainly was. He also sold advertising for the Daily Gamecock newspaper, led his campaigns team to victory in a mock agency pitch judged by Henderson Advertising, and even represented USC at a national direct marketing conference in Washington, D.C. as a senior. 2 months after graduation, Barry joined Henderson Advertising in Greenville, one of the top agencies in the nation at the time. He worked on major consumer brands like Glass Plus, Spray and Wash, and Fantastic. This is just right out of school. Within a year, he was promoted and added Haynes Activewear to his portfolio. 2 years later, in 1988, he was recruited by the Bloom Agency in Dallas, which later became part of the Publicis Holding Company. There he rose to vice president, account supervisor, managing well-known accounts such as Clear Eyes and Bob Evans Farms. From there, his career took him to Birmingham, where he helped open a new agency, and perhaps most importantly, and I told you this guy was smart, he met his future wife, Rita, who worked in marketing for one of his clients. And Rita is a proud Bama grad. So at least we're keeping it in the SEC family. So that's great. So good move on your part, Barry. His professional path continued to Charlotte, where he worked with top agencies managing large accounts such as Wachovia Bank. In 2002, he achieved his dream of agency ownership, joining Planet Central Advertising in Richmond and launching its Charlotte office. Under his leadership as president, Planet Central became a top 5 regional firm known for its long-term relationships with clients in home building, financial services, and retail. But Barry's story isn't just about business success, it's about service and leadership. Throughout his career, he's been deeply involved with the American Advertising Federation, serving as president of both the Greenville and Charlotte chapters, governor of the 3rd District, and as national board member. He's earned the Silver Medal Award, the Legion of Excellence Award, and he earned a spot on Charlotte Business Journal's 40 Under 40 list. In 2020, Barry and Rita began a new chapter. They left Charlotte to purchase a printing company in Beaufort and transformed it into AlphaGraphics Beaufort. With their combined expertise, they've grown the business, I thought 40%, but I think it's getting a little closer to 50% in our conversation this evening, becoming the largest print and marketing provider in Beaufort County. Their success has been recognized with numerous community impact awards. Equally impressive is Barry's commitment to giving back. He has served on the boards of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Low Country, AMIkids Beaufort, the Beaufort Digital Corridor, and the Rotary Club of Beaufort, where he is past president. Through every chapter, from the classroom to the agency boardroom to the community board meetings, Barry has lived out the best of what we would hope in our alumni: ambition, leadership, integrity, and a spirit of service. Please join me in congratulating our distinguished alumnus, Barry Wilson.
Congratulations, Barry. Thank you. Let's get a picture right here, please.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Barry Wilson, account executive for USC Advertising. And tonight we'd like to present our agency's campaign for the launch of Blue Shadow jeans from Levi's. So that was the opening for our National Student Advertising Competition team back in 1986 under the leadership of Professor Bill Goodrich. And kind of chokes me up a little bit to, excuse me, think about that time and what a professor he was. I mean, he was a driver, you know, and for me now to be here 39 years later and still remember my opening lines when we had to do our pitch for the 3rd District here. And we won that. We won the 3rd District, and we went on to the Nationals where I think we finished third or 6th. I don't remember. It was in Chicago that year. But, you know, professors, I don't know that you necessarily realize until years later how they can really impact your life and your career. And just the thought of Bill Goodrich, and I was thinking about some pictures I have from when we went to Chicago to compete in the national competition. And he would not let us leave our hotel room until after the competition. Have pictures of us, and we practice and we practice and we practice until you knew your lines, you knew how to answer questions, because that's very important too. I told some students today that you can show some great creative work, but if you can't stand there and back it up with what is the strategy, what is that one unique selling proposition, then it's just pretty pictures and stuff. So he trained us well as other professors that I had. And one of the things I remember about Professor Goodrich is, and Professor Stevens was mentioning this today, he liked his Coca-Cola. So for those of you who didn't know Bill Goodrich, and of course that goes back a long time ago, he would go into his office and he would have his mug of Coca-Cola and his cigarette. Yes. And you're not going to find that today, are you? You're not going to smoke. You're not going to smoke here in your office. But when we were working on our campaign, and he was a pilot, had his own little plane, so we made a trip up to Greenville to Henderson Advertising to use their research library as we were working on our campaign. So another student went with me, and we met out at the airport and took off in this little plane, small plane. Had just a little bench seat in the back and went up front, so we're crammed in there. The other student was a pretty big dude. He was about 6'3", I suppose. And so we take off and we follow Interstate 26 up to Greenville. And Bill Goodrich, once he gets up in the air and kind of sets the plane in to follow the interstate, breaks out his Coke and his cigarette. So we're flying up there, you know, no hand on the wheels. He's got his little window cracked so the smoke goes out with his Coke and his cigarette. So that's one of my memories of Bill Goodrich. But probably the most important is just how he really drove us to perfection, to be good, because we represented not only the School of Journalism and Mass Communications, but we represented Gamecock Nation as well. And boy, other professors that had such an impact, Professor Florence Feasley, and remember learning layout and design from Professor Feasley. And she was one of those, and all of these professors were, where you could go and sit down with them in their office and just pick their brains, you know, about their career and what you could do to make yourself better at what you do, and talk about your own career desires, you know, or your dreams. And she was certainly one of those. And again, I learned so much from him. And I was looking him up a few days ago and reading his obituary, And I didn't know at that time how much he gave back to the community, that he even had a foundation. And he was very involved, evidently, with the Boy Scouts and other organizations for kids, he and his wife. And I did not realize that. I don't know how involved he was back in those days, but over his life, he was very involved in the community. But again, just a terrific person to learn from. And a number of other professors. And again, I told the students today that you need to really use this time to get to know your professors really well, understand their backgrounds, and learn from them beyond just the classroom. Because if you don't engage with them beyond the classroom, you're missing out on some big opportunities that would really pave the path for you. I was reading this morning in one of the email newsletters I get from the university, and I was reading about an article there that President AMIkids, did I pronounce that right? I've been practicing it every day, had said about a new campaign for the school. And that campaign being, "Come as you are, leave as you're meant to be." And I thought, man, I said, that's it. That's really it. Because I came here as I was, and it was with the intent that I wanted to eventually work with major agencies and wanted to own an ad agency in my career. And so I came here as someone, sort of had that dream, came as I was. And I didn't discover advertising until after high school. I didn't even know it was such a thing, or such a career. I suppose I just thought these television commercials and print ads and radio, and that's all we had back in those days, just showed up. But I had a job. I was going to school at night in Greenville, and had a job with the Greenville News working in advertising services. And so this was back in the early 80s. And then I took a job at Myers-Arnold. Myers-Arnold was a chain of department stores, much like Belk. But for those of you who are old enough to remember Myers-Arnold across the Carolinas, I had a job working with them in their ad department throughout the holidays. So I knew it was just going to be a limited job just for the holidays, but I wanted to be able to learn something else about this business. And I worked for a lady there who had been a student here, and she was the first person to ever really tell me or expose me to ad agencies. I didn't know there was such a thing as ad agencies. So it was from a Carolina graduate who turned me on to that. And I thought, you know what, I like that. I want to do that. And this was the place to come to school to learn, to study, and have the opportunity to be your best. You weren't just going to leave here and be the best, but you had to come here with the intent that you're going to learn so that you could be the best. And I started taking Ad Age then. So I guess the magazine's still around. But I remember when before I even got to school here, I was already subscribing to Ad Age, and I had crates. I kept them. I had crates of peach crates of Ad Age, probably up to the time I got married, and Rita made me get rid of them. But that's what. But that tagline, "Come as you are, leave as you're meant to be," or we're meant to be. I think it's great. It's going to be great to see that campaign evolve. But so that was really my journey, or how my journey started. And I did leave here, and I went to work. I knew I wanted to go to work with Henderson Advertising, and so at that time they were one of the largest agencies outside of Chicago or New York, and they happened to be in Greenville, South Carolina, which is where I'm from. And if I couldn't get a job there, I was going to take a shot at Chicago or New York. They had blue chip clients. Their executives came from Chicago or New York, terrific creative talent. And I took advantage, again, of while I was in school here to learn as much as I could about that agency and meet the people. They would come down and speak to our classes, to our campaign classes, and I took that opportunity to get to know them, to get my name out there. And I landed a job within 2 months. And I would say fortunate, but I think it was because I was prepared, having gone to school here, having the professors that I had here prepared me for that opportunity, that they took a chance on hiring somebody. I was told I was the first assistant account executive they ever hired out of that wasn't out of Chicago or New York or someplace like that, or had worked at another agency already. So I like to believe that's true, and they just weren't looking for cheap talent. So, but that's where my career started, and then I went off to Bloom Agency in Dallas. I spent a year in Birmingham, agency called Lawler Ballard, which was out of Norfolk, Virginia. They had 5 offices in the country, and the one in Birmingham, they were looking to build it up as a full-service office. So I saw that as an opportunity to learn the business in terms of how do you build an agency up from scratch. Spent a year there, and that is where I met my wife Rita. She was working with the Birmingham News, and they were one of our clients. So we met in January. Went there, had our first date in March, got engaged in May, and then I moved her back to Dallas in December. So we are celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. So it's been a wonderful experience over these years. So she's also, her experiences in marketing and special events. I was going to, before I revealed my wife, I was going to say, let me talk about the elephant in the room, because she is a University of Alabama graduate. So what a weekend to have her here in this room. So my son is with us tonight also, Reid, and his new bride. They were married a month ago, so that's... people ask you, what are some of the defining moments in your life, and Reid is one of them. The day he was born, and he's one of my heroes, and so I'm glad that he's here. And Kiley is a wonderful match for him. So we're looking forward to their life reveals itself. The giving back has also been a very important part of our life and our business, because being in the business that I've been in, and when we owned an agency, and even before then, the opportunity to give back to others, to give back to other nonprofit organizations, particularly organizations that spend a lot of time providing and working with families and kids, has been important. For instance, the MDA in Charlotte, we worked with for probably 13 or 14 years doing pro bono work for them, for their muscle team. And the muscle team was a very important, huge event for the MDA. Once COVID hit, it sort of went away at that point. But the muscle team was an opportunity where we brought professional athletes in Charlotte together with the kids of the MDA, and we used it as a night to help raise money for the MDA and the services they provided. But one of the things I've always been proud of is Reid got involved. We got Reid involved in nonprofit work too when he was 9 years old, I believe. As an athlete, he grew up in Charlotte as a race car driver racing. So he was a 9-year-old race car driver at the MDA with the Panther players and the Hornet players and all of those. But other organizations that we've worked with, the Boys and Girls Club, right now with the Low Country, AMIkids, I'm on the board, vice chair of the AMIkids, and you've probably never heard of that, but this is for young men who are in the juvenile justice system, and it's to help them rehabilitate themselves so that they don't have to spend time in prison if once they're over the age of 18, but help them also focus on learning a career. So organizations like that, the Rotary. I was the president of the Rotary Club at Beaufort 2 years ago, and one of the programs I initiated was our reading program. And I'm really, my wife and I both are very invested in helping to try to do what we can for improving literacy. And South Carolina has issues, and especially down in Beaufort County and Jasper County. So I started a program there. I called it Reid Beaufort Read. So if you know anything about Beaufort, then you know that's where Forrest Gump was filmed. And so instead of Run Forrest Run, Reid Beaufort Run. Reid Beaufort Read. And so that's been a very important program that we've helped launch and raise funds for, and provide grants to the school district for reading programs and books. And I'm real pleased and excited to see what's going on with the Cocky Reading Express. So that's great to know about and to follow that. So with that, I'll leave you with the fact that who I am today is not only, a result of, my family, my parents, my wife, my son, but the school here. The school I came as I was, and was able to have a path that I followed, chasing that dream, and God favored me with the opportunity to come to school here, to have the career I have, and to have the family that I have. And I really appreciate this recognition. It's hard to believe that it's been so long since I was here. I love the school. The Coliseum it's one of those experiences that only a few of us now will ever be able to share or understand. That's one place that you didn't want to get lost in because you were just going circles. And you're back to one spot again at the front, and you're like, how did I get back here and miss this classroom? But I could talk all evening about my experiences here. It was wonderful. But I thank you. I thank you for the honor, and I wish those professors were still around so I could thank them. It would have meant a lot. But it's truly an honor, and look forward to seeing how the school continues to grow and build on its foundation. So thank you.